We are back. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday night live show. Yeah, there's some faces missing, but Allie's dealing with some power issues, and Philip's always late. So, but he'll make it as I speak.
You suck, Philip. You suck.
I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
The hairs in the back of his head were just sitting up. He goes, "John's about to say I'm going to be late," and bam! Look at him.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Fuck you too.
Mazel tov. We're back. We're back. It's Wednesday.
Actually, that is what the literal meaning of mazel tov,
I know.
as well as shalom.
Hey, remember, I grew up in South Philly. I know what you mean. We are back, and
I wish I knew what you meant.
So we'll get into that after the show. Lindsey's back and with us. And when I was asking Allie to see if Lindsey would come back, that song came in my head. Guess who's back?
Before I testify, I always think one shot mom spaghetti. So,
but she is back with us. We're going to get her take on a few things that have taken place in the last couple months, and it's been a weird one. But I am going to start off the show with Lindsey and ask Lindsey how her week is going, and is she enjoying the snow in Florida?
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, well, as Michelle knows, we're not going to give my exact location in Florida, but it's just somewhere in the Panhandle, people.
The Panhandle.
Okay, yep, in the Panhandle, or as we like to call it, the Clan Handle, and everything. It's Lower Alabama, baby, LA. Yeah, we got snow. The county has, we got enough snow that school is off for the whole week, and I'm from Michigan, so I remember growing up, waiting at 5 a.m. in the morning, when we got the same amount of snow, hoping for a snow day and not getting one, and then wow, they got the whole week off.
Yeah.
Congratulations on home ownership, by the way. That is that's a huge moment in anyone's life.
It is.
It totally sucks, okay?
Baby, you better believe it feels good after a while.
Wait a month, and it'll really feel better once you get everything kind of,
Well, I spent the past month freaking out about it. Like, what did I do? Oh my God, you just got a 30-year relationship with the bank. Guess you can't really go tell people to F themselves anymore because you need to make your mortgage payment.
It's like my dad says, welcome to growing up. Welcome to being a grown-up.
Being a grown-up, but long overdue. And for like other people, I mean, it's actually kind of bittersweet. I moved down to Florida and I went through a bad breakup. Was hanging out with my parents. I'm actually across the street from my parents. So, you can call them Frank and Marie,
Are you sure?
Everybody loves Raymond.
Lindsey, are you sure you're not Italian? Are you sure you're not Italian?
Not Italian. It's Stroud, not a German.
This is a Jewish thing too, baby. Like, bright and beat. And at the same time, all hell could freeze over, and I still would not enter into that sort of situation. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, you're going to get into the relationship. Sooner or later in your life, you'll get into a relationship with the bank. That's the only one that's actually worth getting into.
Yes, exactly. Oh, exactly. And I've lucked out too. Again, I've seen my parents more in the past 2 years than I've seen them in the past 18 years. So
let me turn this light on.
Actually, both of my parents now live back in town where I am, and God, they bugger me senseless. But I love them. I love them, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, you need You need the Seinfeld buffer zone. Remember the Seinfeld buffer zone?
I am aware of the buffer.
Lucky. My mom's like me. She hasn't come over here, okay? And we had so much snow this morning, I just screamed at them, "Good morning, neighbors. I'm not going to see you today."
Hey, well, let me make it feel. Let me make you feel better. I lived next door from my mom's. Bought the house next door to my mom. My aunt lives across the street. My other aunt lives down the street. My cousin lives around the corner. So yeah, the whole block. So I could never do anything wrong because everyone would know exactly what was going on at John's house.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Michelle, how's your week going?
Well, I had snow too, so kind of the same story. I got about 4 inches total, and that's a lot, for us. And we ended up having to borrow a tractor because
I almost said that's what she said, but I held back.
I wanted to say it too.
And everybody made fun of the guy who bought the plow attachment for his John Deere, right? Yeah. Who's laughing now?
Well, let me ask you this, Michelle. Let me ask you this, Michelle and Lindsey. Do you own a shovel?
Not anymore. Not anymore. We used to have like 7 of them, but once we moved into a condo, we don't have an outbuilding, and I wasn't gonna do the monthly rental anymore, So I got rid of all of that stuff and said, you know what? I'm paying somebody to do the outside. I don't even need it anymore. Yeah. So now I have a good excuse. I don't have one.
No.
I came down here with good intentions. I was leaving an ex. I even left, the ice pick in the car. I left that up north thinking, oh, good riddance. And no.
Yeah. Hey, alcohol. Put a spray thing on the top of an alcohol bottle and spray it. It'll get rid of it in seconds.
Oh, I have a carport.
Seriously.
I'm a Florida girl with my carport, okay? So my car is nice and good, all right?
I hope you put a good smiley face on it then, Lindsey.
Yeah. And make sure you use the cheap alcohol.
Did anyone actually break any records? Because I saw pictures from Pensacola, Birmingham.
Yes.
Because last night Birmingham was, I want to say, low. The low hit somewhere around 11. And I was convinced that some of the pipes were just going to burst. Just the same, we didn't get any snow at all. And this kind of storm is so rare. I don't want to venture a guess at how often this happens or what are the chances. But after seeing James Spann is our man in the Southeast for weather forecasting, and that there's a video just of a massive tractor plowing snow in Pensacola. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, we got records. I think Milton, which is probably about 30-40 minutes east of Pensacola. They broke the record. The previous record was 4 inches. They got about 8 inches, 8.5 inches of parts of it. Yeah. It snowed all day yesterday. It snowed when did it start? Probably around 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 or whenever I'm at, which is a little bit more inland or a little bit more east of Pensacola. I'm not going to give out the town yet, okay? I mean, I'll sit here and put it out, Okaloosa County, baby, but, Matt Gates is my representative. It snowed for about 12 hours straight. And at some point, it first starts and it's dusting the snow. And then it was okay, this is snow that you see in Michigan. It's a little bit heavier, and now it's now it's just super heavy packing snow. You can make snowman. You would really have awesome war if you wanted to, a nice snowball war.
Yeah.
Did you see enough of a melt today where people could get around all right?
No. And we had colder temperatures today, actually, teens, and in the morning it was in the teens. Yeah, the roads are actually way worse today than what they were yesterday because of that, because it just froze all overnight. We're gonna have cold temperatures going into Thursday too. So as I was telling you before you got on the show, they have no school for the next 2 days. They had the whole week off over snow day.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Birmingham, we have no bread.
How's your week, Philip?
God, redneck idiots. Okay, sorry. What was that? I'm sorry. I wasn't. I didn't intend to talk about this until it was over and everything was in the bag. I don't know where I put the cozy, because you can't actually prove that you have had a wedding until you have a cozy to prove it. I didn't get married. Deirdre's son Michael, who was in his second year of medical school, got married to his high school sweetheart, Hannah. And it was a lot of work, and it was extraordinary. We had an amazing time. And everything was great. When her extended family, and there's a lot of people in her extended family, I don't know, all mine are, MIA somewhere in, Poland. But the point is, my tankless water heater died sometime around New Year's. Happy New Year, by the way. Yeah. And this condo that I have serves as a lifeboat for when we have 30 people coming in town. I'll let her, 2 older sisters, they can all, have the house, and I'll come and, stay at my condo and have the dudes over and have a great time. So no hot water is, I've really never, ever had I was here for 2.5 weeks, not literally here, 2.5 weeks, no hot water. It affects everything from your ability to shave, to do dishes and everything. And plus, I was about this close from having to sue the company that manages this property. And you never really want to sue your property management company. But they'll never know how close they came. But anyway, the wedding was amazing. The rehearsal dinner was a blur. I'm in much better shape because I've been carrying platters every which way, but upwards. And most of all, everyone, the kids are beautiful. They're young. I never actually thought that this was going to be, when very, very young people have only been with one, significant other their entire young lives, and they're 22 and 23, they decide to get married. You're like,
so hopeful. So hopeful.
Well, in this case, and I'm sure everybody, in this case, they are surprisingly mature, and they've picked over quite a few of those I didn't think of that yet responsibilities beforehand. And I'm impressed. I give it 5-6 years, maybe.
Keep your finances separate and your marriage will work.
I said that out. I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah. Keep your marriage. Yeah. Hey, mine. I got married at 21. It lasted 21 years, so it's pretty good. I think that's a record.
21 years. Just
I got married at 22. It lasted 2 years, and that was 2 years too many.
It's like you can only party, but you can't drink.
Well, I got a year. I got a year and a half out of the first.
I'm impressed.
He must have
Me too at this point.
I think I know what the allure was, and I'm not going to say anything more.
Let me quickly say hello to everybody. Hello. I'm not going to do it like Tim, so relax, people. I'm not going to go, hey. No, I'm not doing that. Hello, Curtis. Curtis Clemens out there. Robert is out there. Mallory Gates. Peggy from eSource Sig. James R. Loving it in Australia. Yeah. He was already gloating in the chat that it was like over 80 degrees or whatever, 100 degrees in Australia, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and who else is out there? Mallory, James, Peggy, Steve Troutman is out, or not Troutman. Not Steve Troutman's not out there. Michael Redford's out there. Hey, isn't that Paul 2501 Labs? That's Paul. Paul, what are you doing? Get on the show. Chat.
Yeah, dickhead. Come on.
Yeah.
Robert is waiting for a pizza and hugging the radiator.
I told him he has to have enough pizza for everyone, and there must not be any pineapple on that.
Don't fall asleep on that radiator, because after a while it clicks on, you'll find yourself stuck to it. And believe me when I tell you, I speak from experience. It sucks.
Yeah, Jason is out there. Don, and you can't blame Trump for the weather. Come on now, that's enough of that. And who else?
The hell I can.
He went right at it, dude. He's like, yeah, it's Trump's fault.
No.
Oh well, let's get right into it, Lindsey. Wanted to talk to you first about the Supreme Court hearing, because we didn't really get your take on that on the show. So I kind of want to get your perspective. I can't get the words out. I'm so tired.
Perspective.
Yeah, your perspective on it, and what you felt. Did you feel like we had a shot, or did it sound like we were prepared, misprepared? How did you feel about the whole thing?
Well, great. Let's just start out with Debbie Downer on this part.
I figure we haven't really gotten your perspective on it. So,
I'm not a lawyer. Okay. Just for everyone. So I'm not a lawyer. I've read a lot of law. So I've dealt with the law in a previous lifetime, but I'm not a lawyer. I wasn't that impressed, but I wasn't that impressed going up to the Supreme Court with our argument to begin with. I didn't think that Chevron was really going to apply to it because of the way that the Tobacco Control Act is written. It's very vague. The appropriate for public health language is very vague. So it's not that the FDA actually overstepped anything. This is what Congress actually gave them the authority to do. So, and if you heard that too, and Amy Comey Barrett was talking about it, that this almost seems like this is reverse Chevron when they were doing the oral arguments. That being said, I mean, I do think that a lot of it's going to, based off of what they just did with TikTok, I'm not looking too hopeful. That they ruled in favor of the ban on TikTok, even though Trump went and reversed it or brokered a deal for them to go, sell it off. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm fearful too that the Supreme Court is looking at it. It's going to have more, it's going to go farther than just vaping, the way that they rule on this. This could actually influence a lot of other agencies and some of the things. And so and I think that's weighing heavily on them.
So are you afraid this might end up in a situation where we go in with a certain amount and this turns around, bites us in the ass, and we actually end up with a more restrictive regulatory atmosphere? Or
no, I think it's going to be one of the things they kept emphasizing was that you could actually reapply. So I don't think it's going to in place any more restrictions. I do think with the Zen authorization too, that whole surprise switcheroo, this de facto flavor ban, and that argument's no longer valid anymore either because they recognize non-traditional tobacco flavors. And a project that went through the PMTA. That's the thing, is we were looking at the way that they were attacking this PMTA process, which the way that we should be attacking this PMTA process should be more at least going back through Congress, in my opinion. The Tobacco Control Act is not designed to bring safer products to market. And if it is, then why the hell do we only have to date 76 products since 2015? In the past 10 years, only 76 products have been approved using that pathway, and they're all supposed to be safer products. I mean, that they found they went through the APP, pH, whatever stuff on it, but we've also had 16,000 products that went through the SE pathway. Substantial equivalent are these other ones. There's like PTP determination or whatnot, including 666 combustible cigarettes alone that got authorization orders in 2023.
I am going to go on a limb here, and I'm not really, I'm not trying to pick on anyone, but I felt like the argument, you're right. I agree with you that the arguments that we had going in were not strong, but I feel that our legal team could have done a better job presenting them.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe so too. And they could have worked with more people, actually. It seemed like they were really relying on one particular law firm, versus the FDA was relying on even though there was only one person there, the FDA was working with a lot of the anti-groups to have all of the
there was a reason why the FDA brought this. They were the ones who initially brought this suit to the Supreme Court, or rather brought it to the Supreme Court and asked them to take it. Now, what I'm curious to know, and I really don't want to name names, and I'm not picking it, but I'm just curious to know, was this a question of limited resources, financial, or was this just, these are the people who we started with, these are the people who get to finish? Because I'm just wondering why.
Your male egos. Come on. We're not going to name names. If we start naming names, we're gonna start going through way too many lists of names.
Because trial lawyers spend their lifetime dreaming.
For me, it just sounded like there was a different class of lawyer that the government brought forward to fight this argument, and that's how I felt. It was just a different class of lawyer. And he seemed more prepared. He seemed to understand what he needed to say and what to say to make the judges listen. And I don't think we got that message across from again, I'm not a lawyer, but listening to it, my sense was the guy that was representing us or that company didn't seem to be prepared to say the right thing. at the right
time.
It
seems like there was a lack of coordination because they weren't the only law firm who had went, putting some of these lawsuits up once the FDA had issued these MDOs. So where was this collaboration? Not every single person obviously is going to go testify in front of the Supreme Court, but you could have had, them in there helping you out, messaging you like, oh, hey, you say this, you say this. The lack of coordination from the judicial, I think, is really what it kind of felt like. It did feel like he was unprepared. It felt that he wasn't communicating with anybody else who's been doing this. There was a few other seasoned law firms who, that had represented vapor clients that have gone in front of the Supreme Court, and those guys probably would have been a little bit better. I mean, I've always wanted to go in front of Congress, okay? But then after watching Congress, it's like, yeah, no. That's not something I really want to do because I'm afraid I'll get kicked out for telling them, what an interesting question. Was there a fucking question there? On that part, I don't know how you'd be nice to these people too, especially you listen to SCOTUS stuff. Listening to some of these Supreme Court justices are just kind of like, oh my God, they're morons. And you gotta
see, that's the thing. We only had so much time to enlighten them, and I assumed that certain justices would be that, forgive me, ignorant as to what these products are, how they work, who uses them, and why. And I felt I was disappointed that we did not have someone who was prepared to speak to those deficiencies, and I really felt that someone with
we weren't there to do that. The thing we weren't there to talk about the health benefits of e-cigarettes. We were there to talk about they violated it.
There are all kinds of ways of fitting that into your oral argument without actually.
But do you think that stuff was in their briefs though? Maybe that wasn't something they wanted to discuss with the limited amount of time they had, and maybe it's in their briefs that the judges will read later. That's what I'm hoping, because I understand
in their brief. We submitted an amicus brief. TPA did, Taxpayers Protection Alliance did, and we talked a little bit to the harm reduction potential, but a lot of it was mostly all of the this is how they violated the law, because it's a law case. I mean, the advocacy of e-cigarettes, you can't bring up Public Health England. It has no place in front of the Supreme Court. I
don't think anybody was going to do that. But just to say, I think
I
think Jim McCarthy and Jeff Steyer did a really a good job of sort of breaking it down. Yes, once again, we can mention how oral arguments can influence or not influence at all a final ruling, and at the same time, the way it sounded was a little bit. I was a little surprised, and like you said, there were other firms who wanted to take this who had made appearances in front of the Supreme Court, and who knows? I mean, I really do respect everybody who's involved in bringing this and preparing for this, case, and at the same time,
they're great. They did still do a great job. I mean, they presented in front of SCOTUS. I'm not going to denounce that.
Everybody who pitched in to this is just they're heroes, all of them. I can't help but feel a little less than, let's just say, I'm not perfectly happy with the outcome.
You're not ecstatic.
But I'm Jewish. This is my people. My heritage basically dictates that I cannot be satisfied.
You can't be happy.
You can't ever. One of the vaping advocates that I'm really good friends with, because we had talked about it prior to it happening, and then we called each other after it happening, and she was just like, well, how you feel because you were right. And I was like, yeah, but this wasn't things I wanted to be right on. I mean, so that was like the only way that I kind of felt about it. And it's like, yeah, this isn't a big victory that everyone's kind of making it out to be. I mean, that being said, it could go either way right now, but we didn't have enough of the conservative justices that we thought we had in the bag. So I think you're going to see some pushback on that when the actual final decision does come out.
Let me ask you something real quick. Do you feel like they're waiting on President Trump to do something, or another? You don't? Okay.
No, I think they did. I think the only reason you got the oral argument so quickly out of TikTok was because it was going to be an immediate ban, and that was going to impact a lot of stuff. I expect they were probably going to get a decision in the next month or so, though. On that case is what it kind of looks like. You're looking at previous decisions, but I just think there's a lot more implications that go beyond vaping, and the way that they rule in this way, because that's the way it just sets precedence on this one. And so, I mean, they could go back on certain things, but I just don't see what they could go back on. Again, it's just the way the TCA is written. If we really want to see real change when it comes to authorizing products to market, you're going to have to see some change at the TCA or some change without the FDA, because the FDA does have broad authority on how they want to, you know, they've already doing discretion enforcement. You know, technically Juul is an illegal product. They haven't had marketing authorization. They're in the regulatory limbo. The FDA is not working with the DOJ to, you know, remove these products from market. So yeah, and there's ways that they could do.
I never understood that, how they could just go ahead and rescind an MDO and then just table a decision indefinitely. It's maddening. But in the meantime, now we have applications in for what, the Juul 3 and 4. So there you have it. But no, I am. And by the way, the Enjoy Ace is much better than people give it credit for. They have some new pods and wicking made by Film. The pods that say Film on them, they're good. But that said, it is there's
very
a lot
limited flavors.
Well, yes, the tobacco and menthol being, but the first menthol, let's just say, at least it's a device that isn't. I think it's for example, it's
what happened?
You just went silent. We lost your sound.
Yeah, the federal government said, Phillip, shh. You can't hear you.
Oh, but I can read lips.
I missed. It says you're muted now.
Yeah, so. The federal government, the FDA said Phillip's about to say something. We got to block him. And I didn't get to hear. Try going back out and come back in, Phillip. Yeah, try that. Yeah, you're quit talking. Yeah. You're not. We can't hear you.
He's so animated, and
he's Jewish. He's Jewish. He's very animated. Shalom. Sign off and come back in. Sign off and come back in. I don't know if he can hear me. Yeah. Sign.
How's that?
There you go.
He's back.
Fuck you, FDA. Fuck you,
I'm
FDA.
not going to restart my computer. It was a dude hack. You know, the USB in and out, and it worked this time.
There you go.
Idiotic. What was I talking about?
Finish your thought, Phillip.
I don't know what I was thinking.
It's all gone. It went all day.
I don't know what I was talking about how the Enjoy Ace is a product that can compete with some of the most modern products that will never get authorization, in my humble opinion. And at the same time, the USB micro connection, charging connection, just why? But anyhow, for those who might catch this who aren't vaping advocates, that 0.00001%, give it a try. It's the reason Deirdre, my beloved, is not smoking half a pack a day because, well, when your son gets married, you tend to.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I can't say that she wasn't going through 2 or 3 easy THC sparkling waters, not, the real stuff, just the fake Delta 8. But man, that stuff can put me down.
I think that's like one of not just the toughest time for a bride, but the toughest time for a mom.
Absolutely.
On both sides. On both sides.
Is
my baby.
She is an absolute wonder, a jaw-dropping warrior. If I didn't know beforehand, I know it now.
Yeah. Yesterday, January 21st, the agency formally withdrew proposal number 0910-A160. Lindsey knows this already.
Okay, if we're going to talk about FDA actions, we got to talk about all of them. We got to talk about the nicotine rule, then we got to talk about Zen, and then we got to talk about, the menthol stuff.
Let's start.
What a freaking doozy, all right, for the past. They're all just gone down in the past week.
I mean, this was just today where we have both, the rule.
Cigars,
right. The flavor.
Again, the FDA said, "Fuck, Phillip, we can't hear you, Phil."
No bueno.
Oh, you know who's listening? Oh, wait, where's my media stuff? You know he's listening to you, Phil. Right here. He said, I got you, Phillip. I got you, baby. Unplug it, plug it back in. What did you want to talk about, Lindsay? Did you want to go into that or?
Well, I mean, I think Homie's trying to keep his job. Yeah. Is literally like that with the authorization. It only took him like 3+ years to authorize these Zyn products, and you're finally doing it, in non-traditional nicotine or non-traditional tobacco flavors, like cinnamon, citrus, coffee, also multiple nicotine strengths, which has been impressive. I mean, and they're finally. Actually, when you go through one of the orders or when you're reading through the orders, they found there's just studies that found that these flavors are more helpful to help adults who smoke quit or transition fully. So that was really, we finally have the science. We actually now can go into state hearings and tell, hey, the FDA found flavors to be beneficial.
Right.
The nicotine one, I've only seen the Cigar Rights for America write something on it. It's not surprising that Trump would stop the rule from being issued. I know I was checking it out. It's still on the register. I think you still submit comments up until August on it. And the nicotine one, they've been trying to do that for years. It's not anything new. I think that was their last push. And then I'm not surprised that they're dropping menthol. Though a lot of people don't realize that Trump's biggest funder, largest corporate funder was RJ Reynolds or the BAT. And so he does have the ear of even though he hates tobacco, he's got the ear of the tobacco companies, pretty close to him. So when you saw the order too, the big one was he told executive agencies or federal agencies like HHS, FDA, I think CDC, that they can't do any communications or external communication. So of course that means no rules are going to go forward if they can't communicate crap. So we'll see what happens. I still think Donald Trump is a moron when it comes to vaping. Okay. When it comes to tobacco harm reduction, a lot of people forget in 2019 when he sat there and said, a lot of people think vaping is good for you. I don't particularly think so. Yeah. I think that he looks at, I don't think he's got,
he doesn't have any vices. He's someone with no vices, which makes it more difficult.
His vices were McDonald's and Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Okay? Yeah.
They even installed the button. From what I understand, they have the button on his desk. Anytime he pushes it, they bring him a Diet Coke, and they say he drinks like 12 Diet Cokes a day. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude! What the
But now he has an 18-year-old, and his 18-year-old has got friends that vape. And if his 18-year-old can tell him about TikTok, then his 18-year-old can also tell him a little bit about it.
I don't think it was his 18-year-old who told him on TikTok. I think it was his voters who voted for him in November that told him about TikTok. And I think that's why he's reversed a lot of the stuff that he said he was going to do, especially with these big tech companies. I don't want to get into the big tech because I'll start talking about stuff about really bad about Republicans and everything on that one.
Well, I think for me, this is how I look at it. I mean, for me, it seems like this older generation that is in office that are in their 60s and 70s and some of them in their 80s. I think they look at this industry and as a whole as a joke. Like, why are we even doing this? What the hell is going on? And yet they still simply do not understand how this process works. What are the milligrams? They don't understand the nicotine. They didn't understand any of it. But it feels like to me, they're not taking us serious. Do you feel like that sometimes?
All the time. I just sat here listening to a state hearing today. And it's also because our side of the army, it feels like the little rascals half the time. And like, God, I started doing football references. This is when it's really bad. American football references. Like, it would be nice to play offense for once. Yeah. We don't even need a touchdown. I'd be okay with a field goal. But I feel like a lot of times on our side of the aisle, we're sitting here doing dances in the end zone, our own end zone, when the other team fumbles, even though they're the ones still throwing balls at, into it, catching balls in our end zone. So, and when you look at the opposition, I was watching, they had a vapor and cigarette tax in New Hampshire today, and you were just listening to the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. I mean, here they have two different representatives. They come on, they sit there and say the same things. They're sitting here backing each other up. They get pretty much, now you get 10 minutes of testimony from one kind of group or whatnot that's all in tandem, all on point, saying the same things. And they're very smart too at moving the argument. So like kind of a mission creep too. I mean, now that youth vaping went down, well, the sales of disposables are up. But if you just do the numbers on that, well, that would indicate if kids are not vaping them, smoking is down. Ding, ding, ding. These are adults who are using them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're not hearing about the adults. The thing and at least in New Hampshire today, a lot of the thing was talking about it being a revenue gain. But then here comes these Oregon orgs that are like, oh, but the kids. What do you mean the freaking kids?
Yeah, the kids. Yeah, that's my sense. I just feel like no one's taking us very serious, and with the current state of affairs in this country and the world, you really can't say, well, what about us? What about us? Because then they just, hey, there's war
you
here.
got big tobacco creeping in on it. That actually in the next couple of years, if something doesn't change, they could take over the whole industry, which is very, very sad to think, because I started this about 9 years ago. And I remember, we're not big tobacco. I remember some of the vitriol that one of the trade associations got when they, cozied up with one of the big manufacturers. And now you're seeing people who were talking crap about that sharing the same studies from those manufacturers. Again, not calling out names on this. I mean, some people should learn.
Please don't. I'll get in trouble.
Some people should learn some freaking integrity on that part. So, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm still going to fight for it.
Because Phil might get muted again.
Every day is a new opportunity to start anew.
Yeah.
Every day is a new opportunity to go kick some butt. Okay.
Well, how's it? Okay.
He's always listening. He's always listening, Philip. He's always listening.
He might be for a while, actually. Can you hear me? All right. So I have a question. Since we are indeed, like you said, somewhat less than being taken seriously, or rather people have a tendency to just mute us. I wonder why that is, because, well, we have a problem with specificity. So as a tobacco harm reduction advocate, not just vaping, not just pouches, all of it, what are the 3 things we want?
Choice.
What do I want? I want adults. I got my kind of goals that I want to work on over the next 2 years. I want open systems to go through a notification process, kind of like the way vitamins go, the way that they do it in the EU, that it's not this authorization application, Yankee panky, break my freaking heart, whatever bullshit. I'd like to have public campaigns over, hey, make the switch. Not, oh, do you know how bad vaping is? The way that we have all of our public health campaigns are all geared towards children versus, we have a crazy misinformation campaign. And I'd like to see all of us groups work together. Okay. Even I'd like to see, I feel like we're almost acting the same way that the tobacco companies act. That, I mean, we need to have a gentleman's agreement again back from the 80s, where we are kind of working with each other, even if we're not doing it publicly, behind the scenes that we're working with each other and it's doing the same messaging. I feel that and it's been going on for 5 years, when you got different
it's actually companies, Chatham rules, I think it's called. What happens in these meetings stays in these meetings.
Yeah.
And if for example, one of the things that I would demand if I could meet with everyone from Kathy Cross, by the way, who made a fairly a rare and not completely horseshit statement about harm reduction for check out the Truth Initiative statement. But one of the things that I would mention is messaging around the possible risks of vaping or nicotine use should always be made in the appropriate context, and that context being relative to the absolute risks of smoking combustible tobacco. End of statement.
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed too, I mean, again, I don't want to call people out, but screw it. One of the pieces of legislation that I absolutely freaking hate is age-restricted stores for vapor products. And I get it. This is like what I'd like to see changed is this idea, because I've told people too, I know there's several states that are introducing these bills kind of as a preemptive.
Sorry, I have to clarify. You mean people who are advocating for take them out of convenience stores and have vapor products in like an A, B, C store like we have here in Alabama?
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
No, I mean, I've seen it, and there's a lot of advocates and like prominent advocates in the states that are pushing it. They're doing it mostly. I know one of them's working on a bill that would put only the non-FDA authorized products. So Reynolds and Altria and JTI can still sell, their FDA approved products in the C stores, but all the ones that haven't gotten FDA green light.
Do you think the C store lobby here or in Florida would ever let something like that pass?
I don't know. Well, actually it depends on the C store, because you have two different types of C stores now. You have the ones that are following all the rules. I mean, you can go to those big box ones that they're only selling very limited vapor products, and they're all FDA approved ones, or FDA authorized ones.
Yeah.
And then you go to the ones run by foreign people, usually that are selling, a whole bunch of vape products.
Yeah, the ones that are franchise, what have you.
From what I understand about as far as the C stores and selling cigarettes and vaping products, the price margin is 0 on that stuff. It's pretty much.
Yeah. And even if they get a violation too, they got so many family members in a lot of those stores too. They'll just be like, "Oh, we'll put the license in your name now."
Yeah. Everything. So I'm going to go ahead. Hey, I'm tipping my hat to Circle K and but truck stops like Love's. All these places, they're stocked on the latest version of what's been authorized. Nothing more. They are carding me. Look at me.
Yeah.
And every time they do that, I say thank you very much. I shake their hand and light a candle. What they're doing is exactly what I had always hoped every convenience store and vape shop would do, no matter what. And the shops around here have always been very good about checking ID. The ones that were not have went out of business quite a while ago. But at the very least, yes, I would say that the larger, like the Circle K's around here, are they're a model to be followed, not to be shamed. But if I can say one thing, I don't know that our state advocacy group put something in front of the Alabama legislature, something to the effect that we would like to see these products in like ABC stores, specific stores that would allow
the non-FDA authorized ones. And I get doing it that way on that one, but I still cannot. I'm not for. Again, it goes down to harm reduction, basic principle that if this is safer than a cigarette, it should be available where cigarettes are sold. Massachusetts actually introduced a bill this year that would put all tobacco products in age-restricted stores, and I'm okay with that one. I actually, if we're gonna, I like that bill a little bit better than the nicotine-free generations, policies. I mean, and everything. If you're trying, if tobacco and all these products are so bad, then fine, put them away. Put them where they're not easily accessible. Treat them like liquor, and the way that I think Massachusetts has party stores actually. And they got marijuana too, but the marijuana are supposed to be in age restricted stores. So, but you have a lot of problems too with these states. I was listening in New Hampshire again today in this vapor tax. So they already have a vapor tax in place. They have a bifurcated one. I want to say it's 30 cents a milliliter, 8% wholesale. This guy was who had like 11 vape shops, was testifying, and like they're not even remitting this tax. Okay, the Department of Revenue, he got numbers from the Department of Revenue, cross-referenced them with his own numbers of the taxes that he paid for his 11 shops, and he made up 26% of the taxes that they collected in 1 year from his own shops. But he estimated that his shops only made up 5% of shops that were selling vapor products.
Really?
And that's not the only state that's had this issue. Indiana's had an issue too with their taxes, that you're seeing a lot of these stores that not only they're not carding, they're advertising how they're not charging the vapor product tax.
Jeez.
That's why when I know the vape directory bills don't scare me that much, because it's like, okay, like the states, you talk about like a lack of FDA regulation on here. Here come the moron states legislatures trying to, get their Department of Revenue to collect stuff and not giving them an army. So, and all because of a fake epidemic that's no longer anymore. The vitriol that's still towards youth vaping is amazing. And nobody's talking about the adults who vape. In 2023, you had the same percentage of adults and children vaping. It was 7.7% of adults, 7.7% of U.S. middle and high school students.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what one of the most, I think, possibly positive or at least interesting, the possible interesting consequence of these ZYN authorizations? The American Lung Association has lost their goddamn minds. And the entirety of the world is actually paying a little bit of attention because they have gone so far as to say that nicotine pouches are just as harmful as cigarettes. Now that is a clearly false. It's clearly a false statement. Not only is it a false statement, it's a dangerously false statement. But they went ahead and issued a press release anyway. So the fact that people who otherwise would not really care about this news are taking note, I don't necessarily think that's anything but good, because if they, let's say they've gone from driving out of their lane to just rolling off the road into a ditch, and for them to very in a cavalier fashion make that ridiculous statement has drawn some scrutiny and from people who otherwise wouldn't say anything. But yeah, it's madness, and I'm really happy to see, if they're going to stay crazy, that they're at least starting to tell us exactly who they are.
The vitriol and emphasis on nicotine pouches is quite unfounded, in my opinion. Okay, like, not only do you not have youth overwhelmingly using them, there's been an increase in sales, but I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I think it's a very targeted. I think it's very minuscule, especially when you're comparing it to the number of adults that you have smoking. The only thing I'll say is, I mean, there is a culture. There's definitely a boy culture to it, a bro culture. If you went on the Twitter with the one congressman who shared a picture, and he's like, "Oh, look, I told the FDA to do this." Well, if you go to the comments, you got a bunch of these 22-year-old boys being like, "Oh, 3 milligram, you pussy," and everything. So I mean,
so you're saying the young ladies are not hitting the ZYN?
I don't use nicotine pouches at all, and I they were never going to be a good one for me anyways, because I mean, I'm a hand to mouth person anyway. So I'll vape in places I'm not supposed to vape, and just vape like a teenager and hide it, and wear my hoodie and blow my smoke down my shirt and stuff like that, or blow my vape down my shirt, but. I mean, I've tried a bunch of the pouches. I can't keep them in my mouth.
I just have a mouth so long and hold it in until I can blow it out and there's no vapor left. It works. I watched the entirety of the Peach Bowl, vaped my ass off, and no one was the wiser. Indoor stadiums. Don't bring that up. No, the Mercedes. I love that. Was
I vaped in a lot of places you're not supposed to vape in. I'm just not admitting them where they've been. Okay, I have to go travel.
Yeah, the only time when I'm about to get
careful, he's listening. He's listening.
Yeah, very, very.
Hell, if I have to testify in front of him, I'm vaping. I'm just gonna whip it out and vape it.
Blow in his face.
Don't be too hard on him. He can't really be fired, but he might be shuffled around somewhere to Siberia in the next few months.
I saw him at a conference last year. I spoke at the GTNF or whatnot, and actually it was pretty funny because I think he expected me to attack him because he was doing his speech and he kept staring at me. And the minute Q&A started, we just walked the hell out because I was just like, nope, I'm not doing this.
Does he always do that? He always looks like he's about to get ambushed by an entire.
His GTNF conference was a lot more fun. Okay, he was making jokes. I was just like, wow, look at you. You're joking around and everything.
Speech he gave where there are many agencies involved and all this kind of stuff, and we can't do everything. He literally looked terrified of what might come next because he's just, there's certain things.
He didn't have good answers.
Well, no. I mean, he's not wrong in this sense. I mean, there are a lot of different agencies that have to go in and let's face it, he's not everything is under his control, and not every decision that he has to go ahead. Yeah, some of those are passed down, but in the meantime, I would love to try and work more with him. But yeah, he did run out of way too many conferences without answering questions. So he's kind of
he's gone at so many freaking conferences too, and I still want to know who the hell pays for that. Is it the Center for Tobacco Products, or is it the tobacco companies that are paying for him to go? Either way, it's tobacco products that are paying for him to go.
You're saying that there's a possibility that tobacco companies are directly.
Oh, they wouldn't directly be paying for him. The Center for Tobacco Products is 100% funded by user fees from tobacco products.
So I would assume.
I mean, that's where I'm curious about who does pay.
Yeah, there has to be a layer. There has to be at least one degree of separation between him and.
Something tells me, but who knows? I mean, who really knows on that one? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've seen some. I've worked with some state lawmakers and have seen some sketchy things in my life. Okay, and that's just state lawmakers. Okay, I can't imagine federal bureaucrats who've been in the bureaucracy for 20 years.
Overspending?
Lindsay, will you please come up to Alabama and meet Representative Barbara Drummond with me?
I already got to go there with you.
She needs to come to California.
Rob Roberts already, I'll be up there meeting people.
Please, can I come
to California first? She needs to
no one needs to go to California.
California is hard to quote unquote lobby in. Okay,
it's like a whole country. Just let's figure things out.
We don't even like submitting written testimony there.
It's the Lindsey Stroud tour. You can tour with Billy Idol and Joan Jett. They're getting ready to tour again.
But did you meet Barbara Drummond, who is backed pretty much every flavor ban and vape ban?
Yeah, she's the one that did the vape directory bill. When I was up there last year, John ended up doing an hour-long conversation with her, kind of by himself.
And how did that end up?
He said it went well, but then again, a lot of people talk to lawmakers, and they're lawmakers. They'll be like, yes, 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 yes. So, and then the next week they vote against you. So
I've been pretty surprised at the. Two things have surprised me. She's more or less just said, "I don't care that I'm in the same corner as Reynolds and Altria, and I don't care. I freely admit these things." And the other thing, I remember Greg having to literally put me back in my chair. I was about to stand up and say something ill-advised, and I appreciate that. She opened up her long diatribe about the and the dangers of vaping with a relatively short but a very, very specific story about how one of her a family member, either maybe one of her parents or one of her a direct sibling, died of cancer. And my eyes almost went to the back of my head. My brain exploded. I lost feeling in my left hand. It was just one of those moments where she opened up talking about the incidence of cancer in her family, and then on to the vaping flavor ban. And I really just, I mean, that is not ignorance on her part. I really wanted it to be, but she's fully aware of how she's convoluting it and opening up with one thing that has nothing to do with the other. And it's very hard. I'm much better at it, but at the time it was very hard for me to listen to people do that. And even more so after the fact, I realized that it's not by accident. It's deliberate.
Do you not remember the Florida Representative Tance from down here that was like, he's got popcorn in his lungs. Okay, he's I mean, that was last year. I mean, so they get a lot of misinformation. They get a lot of bombarded with misinformation. I mean, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, like I said, Truth Initiative, American Heart Association, all of them are on point. They're at every single freaking hearing. I know, I see them there. They see me there. We're pretty much like, "What's up, people?"
I've decided that every single time.
All I do is the numbers. I don't spend a lot of time talking about,
popcorn in the lungs. I've actually
butter flavor
in his lungs.
Butter flavor.
If you watch the video of her, she is like so. Oh yeah, I know I'm right and everything.
Right.
Like 100%. Like confident.
Is this someone who was just reading from a script and managed to screw up the context?
Reading from a script. No, that was during question time.
This is someone who actually believes that this phenomena includes an actual kernel of popcorn in someone's lung. I just had a stroke.
Hey, somebody voted for her
again. No.
People in Tallahassee voted for her. Okay.
Yeah, wasn't us.
Actually, now I remember, and the people of Tallahassee voting for it does add that makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about. Yeah, I live in Birmingham.
I
wanted to talk a little bit about the excess tax revenue that you brought up in your little post today. And it's something that I feel like hasn't been talked about. It's not in the mainstream media. No one talks about how much money is being lost to each one of these states just due to cigarette smuggling. So I'm going to go ahead and I just throw out some numbers here. California was $12.7 billion. New York, $21.1 billion in revenue loss. California, I said already. Texas, $7.2 billion. Washington, $4.3 billion in revenue. Why do you think that's not in the mainstream media? Why do they not talk about that?
Well, I don't think actually the lost revenue is due to a lot of cigarette smuggling. I actually think it's due to like smoking rates are at their lowest levels ever. And a lot of that is because of vapes.
Yeah, it's somewhat.
It's a lot of vapes. But I get the excise tax numbers from Orchard, and Walker. They do Nielsen data. It's the numbers that the state health departments rely on or whatnot. You have $1 billion in lost cigarette tax revenue on all the states between 2022 and 2023. In fact, only 2 states actually saw an increase in their cigarette tax collections, and that's because in recent years they've actually increased their cigarette taxes. Right. So I think a lot of it actually, I know if you look at some of the I know Altria and both BAT put out quarterly reports last year, and they were reporting double digits, decreases in cigarette sales volumes in the states, like to the tune of 11% down. And they were blaming actually inflation and also disposables and also the menthol ban in California, which California had a lot of people smoking when you're like just putting out, okay, here's the number of smokers. Sorry, skip the number of people smoking. But they're not like the state. They make up maybe 5% of total people smoking across the country. So the menthol ban isn't going to be like that much on the volumes. Why isn't a lot of people talking about it? Too much stuff going on with other things. I mean, you had the Trump administration. The big thing's been immigration. Now you got the, whole different slew of everything, and nobody really likes talking about tobacco unless it's tobacco and vaping. You don't really hear about cigarettes that much anymore. But that being said, the state lawmakers are paying attention to that, and I actually have on my spreadsheet 27 tax bills that have been introduced, and whether they are a cigarette tax or a vapor tax or an OTP tax, or Massachusetts wants to do the oral nicotine or the oral nicotine ones. You got a couple of them that are introducing reduced taxes for heated tobacco products. But I mean, and you also, a lot of states have are facing revenue declines too. I figured this was going to be the year at the tax at the state level, exactly. And I'm a little bit right on that one, but then I completely was not thinking about how with the whole new administration, and then you'd get a push for more prohibitionist policies such as flavor bans and everything, because what's Trump promised to say flavored vaping, and you've got a lot of people on the other side of the aisle that think that's a bad thing.
Because from what I saw, I don't know if it's a true number or not, but they said anywhere between 35 and 40% of every pack of cigarettes sold in California is counterfeit. Oh,
totally. Even more than that now. Yeah. Actually, Altria did a really good. Well, Altria did a really good study about 2 years ago where they went and collected like discard cigarette packs or whatever, from the trash and everything, and it was just like, the menthol incidence only went down maybe like 10%, from pre-ban to post-ban, but you saw this major increase of non-California stamp tax packs, and you saw a lot actually coming from
what state was this in?
Duty-free shops. This is California.
Yeah. All I know is as soon as they passed, for example, when I was in San Diego shortly after they passed the what was it? I can't remember what prop it was. It was it had twice as much money behind it as any other Proposition 31, I think it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was not long after that passed. I was in San Diego, and there were still vapor products around. They were and they weren't even counterfeit. They were B stock. And I learned more about this later, like Flume, Pebbles, and things of that nature. The ones that the company themselves decided to discard, much like Samsung B stock batteries became whatever Home Life or Imarin, whatever, same concept. So when I picked up that Flume Pebble, whatever, straw, apple, whatever, it was noticeably different. And it just, didn't satisfy at all. And then I, of course, checked the QR code, and it was the third time it had been authorized or whatever. The product had been, the SKU had been scanned, whatever. So I think sometimes it's the second time is, that's correct. But this was obviously sold to another company and then resold because, well, hey, got to do something with it. That was actually worse than not having the option to buy it. And I remember that. But I'm sure. And where did Altria do this study, or where was the bulk of Altria's study on where there's menthol, or rather where?
It was, I forget exactly what localities it was in California, but it was in California. And they were looking also at, they were picking up discarded menthol packs. They were also picking up discarded vape packs. And that was actually, the flavor ban. Yeah, there were so many, trash flavored vapor products in there, which, I mean, that's one thing that I really hope that the new administration will kind of get. Like, I have a feeling that pods might come back, if only to like stem, the massive market of disposable products. I mean, and that's what you got it from. We have a massive market of disposable products because they instituted a ban on pods and flavored pods. I mean, this is just how the market works. I mean, you're not going to get rid of vapes. You also have, I do the numbers, guys. Okay, I have, I look at e-cigarette use among, adults 18 plus, and I look at cigarette smoking use. And you've got states where less than 3% of young adults, like Rhode Island, Utah. These are some of the lowest numbers ever. Now, Utah's always had low numbers, but, Rhode Island's pretty impressive for, that is considered a smoke-free society, according to the WHO. But, you do have about 20% of those guys are vaping. Their current e-cigarette users. So,
do you think the open system has a chance in the future here?
I do, actually. I think there's going to be some changes. I do think that there's going to be, if only just to start controlling the market a little bit. I mean, my biggest fear is we'll have another episode of vaping lung injuries come in, and then we have a really full force, crackdown on them. But I mean, there's only so much they can do. Look at how many people die each year from a freaking overdose. Okay.
Wait, sorry. If I could ask a question about the whole EVALI, you are worried about a EVALI Part 2, because from what I understand,
I'm worried actually about fentanyl. I'm actually now worried about fentanyl vapes. It is possible. You can vape fentanyl. You can vape meth. Okay, maybe not in a disposable, but
fentanyl's pretty easily. You heat it, lighting it on fire, you might as well destroy the fun.
I don't know. There's a lot. I'm sorry. I'm in drug forums. There's a lot of people who smoke fentanyl. Okay, and then talk about smoking fentanyl. I don't know. I've never tried the substance myself, so I have no freaking idea on it.
People vape fentanyl. People who used to shoot fentanyl. People vape fentanyl. Fentanyl is a form of harm reduction, actually, because it does very much dilute the potency. The more you heat it, and it does lose. Well, I'm just saying that fentanyl is something that loses its potency very quickly as you heat it.
Yeah, as you hear that. Well, but there's new formulations of fentanyl. They're the only thing that I've actually seen 100%.
Now that is something I believe. That is something I believe. So a heat resistant form of designer fentanyl, that is perfectly. I mean, yes, I can see that without even having.
But the only reason I think you'd start seeing it is because you start throwing everything underground. So past couple of weeks in Massachusetts, you've seen menthol. You guys, people getting busted with menthol. Packs and cartons of menthol cigarettes, and they've got crack cocaine and heroin that they're also selling. I mean, you're pretty much just giving drug dealers another product to go sell, and this is where, even if it's accidentally mixed with it, this is where you start seeing issues, come into play with,
So do you think that the price of THC has come down, or THC cards has come down to where people would be using vitamin E acetate again to mix and sell in states where marijuana is illegal? Because I think that.
No, I think that was a quick lesson. Actually, if you looked at with most of the globe, actually during eval, I mean, there was an actual retail vape shop in Oregon, or not, a retail marijuana shop in Oregon that actually had a death attributed to one of its products. I don't know how much of the vitamin E acetate was in that product or not, but yeah. I think that vitamin E acetate was used by several, only a few limited manufacturers. If you start looking at all of the, and I hate calling it EVALI, the vaping lung injuries, it was very concentrated into certain like areas of the country. It was Wisconsin, Illinois, and I have a story on this one. I got offered dank vapes one time in like June or July of that year, and the guy's like trying to. Well, I had already told the guy that I saw him in April. And I was like, I don't think these are legitimate. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, Skittles isn't going to put its name on a THC product, and I'm dealing with a bunch of flavor bans at the nicotine level, so I don't like these cannot be legit.
Wasn't dank vapes just like empty carts?
It was empty packaging.
I mean, just like
you can buy on Amazon, and you can
it's like buying a goddamn Rubbermaid container. It doesn't actually come with stew in it.
Well,
all right.
At one point, some guy offered, because they were going for about, in Illinois on the street, going for probably about 35 a cartridge, 35 to 40 to $50. Some guy offered me one and offered me like 100 of them in like June for $5 a piece. So I was just like, yeah, there's like, this isn't, no.
Something's not right.
You're getting the wholesale price. The wholesale.
You were like
2019. And then August, I was at a conference in August 2019 talking to state lawmakers. I was explaining to them the difference between like all of the vapes, and I was like, "Oh, here's a THC vape. Here's a Juul. Here's a smoke." And they're like, "Oh, you know about these lung injuries?" And I was like, "I bet you it's that dang vapes." And sure as hell, it was responsible for like 60% of the deaths.
But what makes you say that what worries you about a resurgence of VALI? Because
drug dealers, not a resurgence of not particularly VALI, not vitamin E getting in there, just issues with something, but not necessarily fentanyl. It could just be shitty batteries, blowing up on people.
Something other than sugar and sunshine. I got it.
Yeah. Which is like lack of regulation. Also, when you push into that underground market, you got people who do not care about quality. Come on, I'm pretty sure you all met a drug dealer before,
At the same time, even among drug dealers, it's always considered poor form to kill your clientele.
Oh.
We got to trust your dealer. I mean, but there's a lot of kids who have died from fake pills that they thought they were getting a Percocet.
Man, my dealer on St. Martin was so good. And then I went to St. Thomas. Then I went to St. Thomas and I realized what it meant to get properly.
Hey, you got to trust St. Thomas. You got to trust St. Thomas.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes,
sometimes you got to go to that nude beach with nothing but 80-year-old ass to get the good stuff. Yeah.
What happened to the good old days in the 80s where nobody put anything in your shit? It was just pure. You just bought what you were buying, and that was what it was. It wasn't laced with anything.
The war on crack. I'll blame it on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nancy Reagan destroyed good drugs. So no, actually.
Hey, the DARE program. Everybody had a shirt. Well,
people think Nixon's great crime was Watergate, and it was not. Yeah, anyway, I think
I gotta go fill up my cup. I'll be right back, guys. Okay. All right. Yeah. Not leaving you or anything.
All right, get your beer.
Don't you dare.
Get your beer. Yeah, for me, it's just like here lately. I just look around, and like even at the inauguration, you look around, and what I see is just a bunch of old people. And I'm not saying I'm young, but I look around and I see a lot of old people, and for me, we'll bring it back up again. These are people I feel like don't really give a shit about vaping. They don't even care to understand it, and I think that's one of our biggest problems. And
what did you see at the inauguration that made
just a lot of old people? Old people. When I say old people, like people in their 70s and 80s,
like me.
No, we're not old.
Can I interrupt too? A lot of people in politics don't care about smoking.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, and that's one thing that I've noticed too. If you wanted to determine whether a person's going to smoke or not, college degree or lack of a college degree, like you're talking college people, like I'm going through all these numbers right now, and it's amazing to say that it's kind of like, oh, hey, you want people to quit smoking or not smoke, pay for free college. Just knock out two birds with one stone. But and I noticed that too. Even doesn't matter too whether which side of the aisle, if they are Republican or a Democrat. I remember getting crap from Republicans for smoking.
Yeah,
so they don't care about smoking.
Yeah, college tuition's expensive. That
means I learned
to buy a pack of cigarettes
from
anymore.
The 4 years I spent acquiring my degree. Actually, I quit drinking. I quit doing everything else because it wasn't fun anymore, and I continued to smoke more as well.
Yeah, and you focused on your education, and you finished college.
But I finished college, and I had a great time in college, and somewhere around, I don't know, 25, 26, I realized, getting absolutely hammered or, smoking too much weed or this or that, or spending too much time in Bogota, this is not something that I care to do anymore. And more importantly, professionally, I can't.
So I think you realized that day when you were driving backwards and you got pulled over. That's what I think you realized. That's the story. The story that we were told.
I never hit a bollard. I never hit a bollard.
He started dancing to the lights, thinking he was still at the club.
but I was the person who was suddenly moderating in every possible way, who was adding about a half a pack every 2 years to what was already a pretty passionate habit. Love smoking. And I've told the story a million times. But damn it, so you're saying that I didn't go to the right school.
You went to Arizona. You went to the right school.
Don't you dare call my Sun Devils. It's Arizona State, the Arizona State University.
It's in the top 10 in party schools. You went to the right school.
I did. And you want to know something about Arizona State University? One of the best psych departments in the country, can confirm. Very, very rigorous program. And if you want to know something about top party schools, or rather the largest main campus in the country, student body wise, I think it's close to 70,000. It's equally difficult to graduate. I would say even more so. It's harder to graduate from Arizona State than any university in the country, as far as I'm concerned, because there are just so many.
I don't know. I went to William & Mary, okay? And let me tell you, okay, I remember my senior year hearing a freshman being like, some kids like, oh, C's get degrees, dude, at this college, D's get degrees, all right? The students were like the worst about the whole grade info, and like, oh, I gotta get an A. I went through a divorce my senior year. I was pretty much like, I figured out I could get all D's, and I was like, fine.
Whoa, back up. This is a bit of Lindsey lore that I haven't heard yet. Divorce senior year?
Senior year, yeah, bad divorce too. Oh God, don't even get me started on that one. But I had to make sure. That guy told me I wasn't gonna make it through William & Mary without him, and I was just like, yeah, don't threaten me with a good time.
You filed the next day.
He filed on me. Yeah, he filed on me. That's a whole different story. But
you know what? God bless you. If you're gonna do something, you go all the fuck in, don't you?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, might as well. Life's too short.
I admire that. That.
Well, just for scientific purposes, Tulane is the #1 party school in the country. Tulane.
Tulane's got a really good. They have a really good law school, actually.
They do.
I've looked at going in there to go be a pirate lawyer, an international like water lawyer. So that'd be kind of fun,
Yeah, I've decided you have accredited universities. And they are, whether it be Arizona State, let me see, whatever, University of Colorado, Vanderbilt. I actually got into there. I don't think I would ever have gotten in there 10 years later. It's just changed completely. But what I'm saying is
Vanderbilt a private school or a public school?
Vanderbilt, it is still a public, quote unquote. Michael went
public
there.
Ivy.
It's one of those things where if you don't get in if you don't get in whatever your application period, if you're not pre-admitted and you're admitted after the fact, you'll end up paying so much for that education. You literally, your family has to be just ridiculously loaded. And most of the kids there are going to apply early. And if you get early admission, which is obscenely competitive, then the financial aid is very competitive. Yeah. But everyone who ends up going there because they end up getting in there, but at the last second. I don't even want to talk about what that place costs a year, but it is. I want to say technically,
it is actually it's a private university.
Yeah,
is it now? I mean, I really don't know. It's one of those things I should know right off the bat.
Well, let me give you the updated list for 2024. The University of California, Santa Barbara is number 1 now. University of California.
See, that's what I don't understand. You're saying that UC Santa Barbara is number 1 in what area?
The number 1 party school.
Oh, that was they've.
Where's Coastal Carolina? Where's Coastal
Dude,
Carolina?
UCSB had that title before. This is bullshit.
Yeah, Florida State is number 2.
Yeah.
Then Tulare.
I guess I know where I'm going to.
Yeah. The University. Hey, Phil. The University of Alabama, number 4, baby. Number 4.
No, I believe it. But I also know the following. It's just not my kind of party.
That's Syracuse, number 5.
I don't know if it'd be my kind of party anymore right now either.
Yeah.
Okay, those kids are a hell of a lot younger than what they were when I was in college.
University of Georgia, number 6.
Their music sucks too nowadays.
University of Wisconsin, Madison, number 7.
Well, yeah, have you been
it's
up
funny.
To
I was talking
to
David
there to do but drink.
Does anyone remember Cracker or Camper Van Beethoven? Forget it.
No.
Okay, moving on.
University of Southern California, number 8. Illinois, number 9. And
Illinois, there's no S.
Yeah. Number 10, West Virginia University.
Now there's a place I keep hearing more and more about, and they all smoke too, damn it.
They do. Highest smoking rates in the country.
If Andrew Donaldson were here, he'd be like, God damn. But there's I have to say, West Virginia, in my experience, there's more good than bad that can be said about that place. It gets a bad rap. Between horror films like Wrong Turn, just paint a really negative picture.
Where's Howard
really
University?
Pretty state to drive through. Actually, I've driven through it a lot, and it's small too. It's kind of it almost has a Midwest feel to it, and for being a southern state.
So, I mean, actually, a decent, respectable ski mountain. Snowshoe beats the living hell out of the legs of Sugar and Beach in North Carolina. I don't want to get into it, but what I'm trying to say is Arizona State is not in the top 10 anymore.
No. Where's Howard State? That's in Washington, right?
No, Howard State is like in the. Oh wait, no, it is in Washington. It's a historic black college, actually.
Yeah, Howard.
Right, no, Howard University.
Howard University. Yeah,
Howard is. Wait, in Washington?
Washington, D.C.
It's Howard University. Should be in Washington.
Yeah. Penn State made the list at number 12. Mississippi, University of Massachusetts.
Wait, Ole Miss?
Yeah, Ole Miss is on the list.
I have to
at
say,
number 13. University of Mississippi.
But Oxford is really.
Since we're talking about colleges, Lindsey.
Actually, West Virginia, by the way. Okay, so, and again, I'm looking at the numbers for 2023, the birth numbers from the CDC. So West Virginia, 20.4% of all adults were smoking in 2023, and only 8% of 18 to 24-year-olds. Which those are some, holy crap, those are some, let's go to.
Those adult smoking rates.
Let's just even go, well, they're high, they're very high, and the national average is probably about 12%, according to this spreadsheet. But West Virginia's numbers have gone down. In 2004, 37.6% of 18 to 24-year-olds were smoking back then. Okay, for them to be at 8% now, holy.
Right. That's really good.
And honestly, I do think, that's one of the only thing that now makes sense with all of the vitriol against vaping, because it hasn't led to smoking. There is no data. There is no population data that actually proves this, that this is leading to smoking. But there's a lot of money to be made in treating smoking. That's the only thing that I can get can I wrap my head around. I'm like, why would you have so much vitriol over a product that literally I can't wait to see these numbers in 10 years when you start to see them go into the 24 to 34-year-olds and start seeing those massive decreases.
Yeah.
A lot of states are going to have some problems, okay, with their budgets and everything. It's not, cigarette taxes don't make up a lot of the budget when you're starting to look like everything that they're collecting money on.
Right.
I mean, you're talking tens of millions of dollars each year, and in California, billions of dollars.
Billions.
Or about hundreds. I think yours were like 900 and something million this year. So
I remember a couple years ago, he came on a newscast on one of the local channels, and he was boasting that he got $7 billion from tobacco and taxes. And then the very next day he comes on and he talks about how the state of California is $11 billion in debt. I said, well, use the $7 billion you got.
Sorry, guys. I have to go in a second. Lindsey, I have a question for you. What do you think is the most optimistic thing that happened for vaping and tobacco harm reduction in 2024? If you have to choose one event, one thing that took place that furthered the cause of safer alternatives for people who smoke, what would you point?
It's two things, but they go tandem with each other. Youth vaping being at its lowest level in a decade, and cigarette companies and the lost cigarette tax revenue, and also three things, because you have a massive increase in vapor products. So we have evidence that adults are using these products to quit smoking, and it's actually now, and youth are not using this, and those are good stories. We got to just keep up with it.
What was number two again?
That adults the smoking rates for adults are their lowest levels ever as well. And then, and you have cigarette companies. Three is going to be, it's all in tandem with each other. And now you got cigarette companies that are reporting, crazy declines in their cigarette sales.
No matter what the government decides to do, stupid or otherwise, people who know better find a way. Amen.
Well, no matter what they do too on the,
how you liking all that?
These studies that are done, and it's like, all I do is look at population level numbers, okay? And even then, I'm not that much of a statistician with them. Like, I don't go through regression theory analysis with them or anything. But it's just like, wait, so what do you mean? Okay, youth vaping leads to smoking. That only comes out in this controlled study. Here's the population data. All right, there is, and that's really nice to see. And it's going to be it's now been a long-term trend. I've been looking at these numbers for 5 years, and it's been consistent. Seen a little bit of spikes or whatnot, but not young adult smoking's at its lowest level, and it's literally, it all starts in 2016. It does not start. It starts when Juul hit the freaking market massively.
Yeah.
So, what percentage of the U.S. population, forget gender, all inclusive, is still? What percentage of people are still smoking in this country?
According to the Burfess, right now, averaging them. Now, mind you, for 2023, I do not have Kentucky or Pennsylvania numbers. I guess they had a problem. 12.2%.
Standard deviation.
That's just average. It's just, I didn't do standard deviation. Again, I'm not a statistician. Okay, I'm giving numbers to idiot lawmakers. We do not need to make it more confusing to them.
No. You said earlier that you were doing regression modeling with these people. You said
no, I said I'm not doing regression models.
I know.
Not yet.
I know, but you sounded like that was a bad thing. No, that's a good thing. Trust me. But Lindsey, thank you so much for being the pistol that you are. And damn, William and Mary was a good time. Yeah, I always figured it would have been. But
I was going through a divorce, so I was just kind of like, get me through this college, okay? I did summer school. I was just like, I got to get out of here quicker than I need to be. But had an awesome jazz class. That was probably the best class.
You got to be joking. I had a jazz guitar studio class that I literally was in by mistake. I shouldn't have been in there. You had to audition for this class, and the instructor liked me enough to, he's like, all right, you can sit back. Just don't play too much because you're pissing everyone off. All right, okay.
See, my jazz instructor liked me a lot. I missed half of his classes because of personal days or whatever and stuff. So I didn't do like some of the quizzes that were like a third of our grade or whatnot. I still got an A in the class. But it was my best class. And he made us mine was like a history of jazz class. So we listened to a lot of music, read a lot, read about it. The guy was so cool though. He had us do oratory, so you got to listen to the song. You have to either give the name of the song or give the artist of the song. And when he's playing them in class, he was like out there just jamming, with this, air guitar, drums, piano, because it's jazz, so
I was great.
Showed me an awesome version of Thelonious Around Midnight by Thelonious Monk. I'll have to send to you.
Lindsey, write this down because I think you'll be impressed. Look up Frank Vignola.
Vignola.
And just check out, for example, his collaboration with Les Paul. That was the guy who taught my guitar.
Okay.
My jazz guitar studio. Like I said,
fusion. That's like the worst jazz. So that God.
Man, I don't know anything he's put down in the studio. I can't speak to that. What I do know is to watch him improvise in a round circle of probably like 12 different players. Just I mean, truly jaw dropping. The man was just a force of nature. Anyhow, he let me stay, which was extremely kind of him and, you know, charitable. So anyhow,
it's pretty awesome.
I love all you guys, but I must go now.
All right, Phil. Yeah.
Bye,
See ya.
All right, Phil. Peace out. That number you just gave at 22%.
Stop calling me Phil, you bastard.
I said Philip. I said Philip.
Love
Filippo. Okay. Are you still on? There, he's gone. Phil. See you later, Phil.
Peace out, Phil. Philly boy.
I love the guy. You gotta love the guy. Yeah, of that number, I want to kind of break it down because that's how they do it here on this site, and I understand why they do it. You know, as far as economic, where they stand. Are these poor people that are still smoking, gay and lesbians, men, women? Do you have those numbers by any chance?
I do not. I've got poor people. I've got number
I'm sorry.
of adults.
I know there's a better
Got
word.
them all.
You know there's a better word than poor people, but
I've got a number of adults, gender, age group, education, income, whether they smoke, and then I got race numbers. So it's 12.2% of all adults that were smoking in 2023. 15.6% of males were, 11% of females were. Again, this is where the numbers are really great. 5.6% of 18 to 24-year-olds were smoking. This is national numbers.
This is 24, 23. 23?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my numbers are always delayed because, you know, the CDC, worst taxpayer funded organization.
Yeah.
But remember I said about, you know, education. So 24.8% of adults who had less than a high school diploma or a GED were smoking compared to 4.7% of college graduates.
Wow.
And 15.7% of people with a high school or a GED. And again, when you just start looking at the numbers, it's kind of like if you want to actually make people not smoke, give them an education. I mean, this kind of seems to be one of the bigger determinants on it. And the best people. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I have to wonder, though, how many of those would be drinking instead of smoking once they get their degree?
You can get that data. I got a friend, Kurt Yo. I can get that data. I got to get Kurt Yo to download that data for me because he knows that they're doing the spiffy stuff, and they actually have it into a huge spreadsheet. So and they do ask a lot of questions on the Burfus. So I don't know if they ask. I don't think they ask anything about sexual identity, though.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that one. But they do ask about like Medicaid coverage. So you have a whole list of stuff, and you could start, filtering because I've gotten some of the access, so I've been able to sit here and see what percentage of people who were using e-cigarettes were formerly smoking or currently smoking, and this is where you do see the 18 to 24-year-olds that they were never smokers, and again, they're probably never smokers because they're using a vapor product. I mean, you're probably going to have a handful of them that probably wouldn't have used any if the vaping didn't get out or whatnot. But I imagine that the good majority of them that are doing it would have smoked.
Right.
It's funny. They go from they get their education and go from cigarettes to scotch. Maybe.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Depends on the career field. I know I did that.
Depends on that damn career.
They have a bunch of politicians, that you're going to want scotch and an IV, dealing with them.
If they got an arts degree, maybe it's Tito's vodka. I don't know. just
some fancy stuff. No, it'd probably be like some, non-source, whatever, non-GMO. Just says vodka. It came from rich people crushing the potatoes for you.
It's just a bottle that just says vodka. That's it. Doesn't tell you where it's come from. Who made it? Nothing. Just vodka. You have any questions, Michelle?
No, not at the moment.
I wanted to get back to what I was talking about, the excess tax. I mean, is there a reason you think does it benefit them for that to be out in the media, or are they hiding that data to help them with this cause with vaping?
I don't think the only
Because this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money.
The only people that you're really seeing when you're looking at the state legislation now that are pushing forward with these taxes are governors. A lot of lawmakers are a little bit apprehensive on actually raising taxes on people, regardless of where that tax is coming from, whether it's a sin tax or not. I mean, especially inflation has been a problem. You know, you have the Trump administration too at the federal level. So, but we've got a bunch of taxes coming in, and like, honestly, I think it's just a revenue grab. I think that states are hurting for money. You know, this is just an easy one. Most people hate people who smoke. So, you know, have them pay more and everything. And I know the vapor taxes, what I'm kind of seeing now is I know, like, again, back to New Hampshire, New Hampshire's got a bifurcated tax. Apparently, this is now confusing to lawmakers. Well, obviously, it is confusing based off of you guys are remitting half of the revenue that you're supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of bills too, where they're trying to bring parity. So the tax on vapor products is the same as the tax on combustible cigarettes.
Right.
Which I'm against that one. I mean, I don't think tobacco products should have any freaking tax on them, but that's my opinion on it. But you're seeing, I've probably got about like 4 states actually that are that have introduced parity bills.
Yeah, I think too, though, like, I think some of the states that do have the taxes on vaping, I think they're just happy that they have vaping. I think it's at that point right now where things are the way they are in the rest of the country, with state after state just banning vaping and flavors. I think you feel like some of these states are like, okay, we can deal with a total, maybe a 45 cents tax on a bottle, a 15 mil or 30 mil bottle, because at least we've got a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
there's a lot of throwing in the towel. I mean, I've been doing this since 2016. I've watched a lot of throwing it in the towel. Okay. You got a lot of people now that are like T21, rah, rah. And I'm still kind of like T21.
Well, I bring that up. Because I bring that up because like one of the states that I think, you know, has benefited, and they pretty much stay out of the news, and they have been out of the news since 2016 is Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, with their taxes. Yes, did a lot of shops close down? Yeah, a lot of shops did close down because they couldn't deal with the tax. But I think that having the tax and yet still having the ability to have flavors and be able to choose their products, I think they're happy. No one's ever happy paying more for something, but I think having the ability to still be able to walk into a shop and choose what you vape is a little more of a, I don't know how to say it, you know, a benefit to them than say the rest of the country, where it's just
their tax was really bad too in 2016.
Yeah, it's high.
It was a floor tax, so all their existing inventory. All these shops had to go pay that tax, you know, immediately. And that's why a lot of them actually, you know, immediately shut down. But I imagine right now, you've seen some localities try to push forward stuff, but Pennsylvania is just one of those states that you really can't do it that way. You got Philly, and then you got Pittsburgh, but you can't even compare Pittsburgh and Philly to each other as far as the nanny state stuff goes in. Like, so because Philly's got a sugared beverage tax or whatnot too. Okay. So I think they've tried a couple of times, but Philly's also got, I mean, they've got a drug problem. So I don't think they really want to give
just
more
a little,
just a little bit. Kensington, that's a great place to bring your kids for a field trip.
If you don't know what she's talking about, just go to TikTok and type that Kensington in there, and
Kensington. And it's been bad for 30 years. Okay, it's not it's not like this was just like rocked with the opioid crisis. They've been rocked with all of the drug crises.
It was bad even before my parents. I lived in South Philly, and where we lived in Philly, it was pretty much Little Italy. So it was like 5 blocks all the way around you was just Italian. So once that started to kind of fade away, my parents were like, "We're out, we're gone." I remember that night like it was yesterday. We were sitting in the living room. Somebody threw a brick through the window. My dad chased the dude with a gun down the alley. Came back in the house and told my mom, "We're out of here. We're moving." And within 3 months, we're in California. Was just he was done. He was done. But it's sad. But you know, I had no idea Philly when I went there last, because it's been years. I left in '79. I didn't go back till I think 6 years ago, and I didn't know they had alcohol stores. I didn't know that. and I wanted to get a nice bottle of scotch for my cousin who's getting married. And I went into Safeway and Save Mart, and I thought that I could get it going into these stores. Like, no, dude, you got to go to this store over here on the corner. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I was impressed because it was set up nicely to where, you know, you couldn't get in there unless you were an adult. They didn't let you in. I mean, they regulated it very well to where, you know, the guy scanned my ID, the whole 9 yards, you know, so, you know, and I don't look like I'm, you know, under 21, you know, but, you know, I don't know. I know Phil brought it up, and I would hate to see.
I hate ABC stores.
Me too, man.
I grew up in Michigan with party stores that were open until 2 a.m. and everything. So then I moved down to South Carolina, and they got the ABC, the package stores or whatnot, and they'd close at 7 p.m. Yeah. Like, really? So you're just, you know, promoting day drinking and South Carolina, all right? You know.
For me too, I feel like, okay, if that were to take place here in California, that we have those types of stores here, I feel like we're going to run into the same situation I'm having here in Modesto, California, where the community is going after the smoke shops. And I can feel like that would happen. Like they would, these stores would open up all over the place, and then the community would be like, oh, look at the crowd that they're drawing. Look at the type of people that are going in there, because that's what's happening now. And, you know, here in Modesto, the smoke shops are getting it's prime property here in Modesto. So these developers are funding, and they kind of hit it. Thank God I started researching to figure out who's funding this program to get rid of these smoke shops here in Modesto. All of a sudden I started digging deeper and deeper, and I found it was developers. And I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. Get rid of the smoke shops, you know, get this land, build it to what they want to put on there, and start charging, you know, instead of $500 a month, they can get now upwards to $2,000-$3,000 a month for the property. So I feel like that would happen maybe in different communities throughout the country. If they start saying, okay, hey, you can have your vape shops, but they're going to be just like these alcohol stores where you have to be 21 to go in and all this other stuff. I can see the community saying that same thing. Look at the riffraff that are going into these stores, you know, and start saying that they're selling other products other than vaping in there. They're probably selling marijuana in there and all this other stuff. I don't want that.
The one thing, you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah.
And the minute you start acquiescing, the more they start taking. That's why I'm kind of always like, I will be fighting, like, you know, and I'll have to. If you back me into a corner, then fine, I'll acquiesce, but I'm gonna fight. I'm still gonna complain. I'm gonna bitch about it and complain about it. While it's going into place and everything. So the thing with the vapor taxes, I mean, I feel like, wow, 6 years ago we thought that we were throwing them a bone, and I told them too. It's like, no, do not have taxes on these products, because they're going to come back, and here they are coming back, wanting even more.
They want more.
Right.
They want more.
Right.
Well, I know. I'm going to be testifying in some of the states and be like, whoa, flashback. I've been here before. And then guess what? Hey. You're still as clueless about vapor products as you were a decade ago. Awesome.
Lindsay's like, my seat is still warm. My seat is still warm. It's like just left, dude. Oh, no. It's my dad told me that a long time ago. He goes, if you ever work somewhere and they give you this bullshit where they're going to take money from you because it's going to save the company and you'll get it back later, he goes, that very day, start looking for a new job. And I've always stayed with that theory. You know, it's like, hey, oh, you know what? We're having hard times. We're going to take 50 cents an hour from you. Boom. I'm out the door. I'm looking for a job because I know you're never giving me that 50 cents back or any more than that, you know?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Taxes are never going to go away. And like when they actually have them, Dr. Gardner said it on my Twitter, you know, once you tax, you never go back.
That's true.
True. And every year it's just, you'll realize this now as a homeowner, but like every year you're just like, you're looking at your property taxes and you're like, okay, why did it go up $150?
Well, I'm in Florida, baby. Okay. We actually treat our property owners pretty well down here. I didn't come from Illinois. All right.
Well, I know. Oh, Illinois, Illinois, they're a little sketchy there, but like even here, you know, it's like my property taxes went up $100. So I was like, why did it go up $100? And then the next page, it explained why it was $100 more. And what they're doing out here in my city is they're building these fences all around the high schools. Like that's going to keep the guy with the gun out for some reason. Is just, you know, this 5-foot fence that's going to be all the way around. Now the schools look like prisons to me. you know, and there's still access to the campuses. And I'm like, who are you deterring? The police from being able to get in there and stop whoever's there? Because that's what I feel like, you know. So yeah, it's just your taxes are just part of life. I mean, you can't do anything about it, you know. Each year something is a little more than it was last year.
Now we're about to have tariffs now, though.
Yeah, tariffs. Hey, tariffs have worked. They have worked.
But tariffs are taxes, okay? And they get pushed down to the consumer.
Research U.S. history, and you'll understand why tariffs.
I drink a lot of like beer. Go figure. Most of the people watching the show already know that.
Get out of here.
Oh no, yeah, I'm a teetotaler. But the aluminum tariffs from like Trump's first term, yeah, those are really bad. Okay, like the cost of beer is way up. You're also seeing the smelters, they're double dipping on it and everything. And again, all of this gets pushed down to the consumer. A lot of people just don't realize that it all gets pushed down to the consumer. Like I always like talking to lawmakers about the master settlement agreement because they're always like, oh yeah, we sued the states. We got one over the tobacco companies. No, the F you did not, actually. I mean, I've heard a tobacco company in a previous job tell me that, like, you know, they always, the attorney general thought they pulled one over on us. No, they didn't pull anything over on us. And it's like, I know that's when cigarettes went up. But also, I mean, the price of cigarettes went up there. Same thing with the taxes. And again, I look at the numbers. So when you're looking at low income people, you're looking at lower educated people and stuff. Tax raises do not significantly decrease these smoking rates on these people, despite what these well-intended lawmakers are trying to say. It's groups like the American Cancer Society, American Lung Association, Heart Association, CTFK are sitting here saying that, oh, these actually work. And it's like, no, they do not. Here are their numbers. They work for people like them. Okay, I mean, like, you know, the people who have college degrees that are a little bit more price conscious. I'll tell you, the more money I make, the more frugal I get myself. So, I mean.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Susan Willis, who is now the White House Chief of Staff. And her, do you think, from what I understand, she's been involved in tobacco for quite some time. I think she represented at Swisher, right?
Swisher, yeah.
You think she's going to be somewhat of an influence on Trump when it comes to vaping and cigarettes and
same
cigars?
Way the same way Reynolds is.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's going to give him a time. I was actually reading something about Trump, and like, you know, I mean, he meets with the American Cancer Society. I mean, he meets with everybody. So I don't like, you know, how much are people in his ear has been, you know, to be determined. I still think with 2019, it was Barron, the whole rumor that, you know, Melania caught Barron with the vape, and that's, you know, why he freaked out. I still think there's a little bit of merit to that one, you know, because he didn't really pay attention to any of it up until then. That would make sense. Yeah. And I think that there was some good lobbying going on with the vape numbers and stuff. But yeah, all he didn't even like tweet on Twitter. He tweeted on Truth Social that he was going to save flavored vaping, and I don't think he's talked about it since he's been, you know, elected, since winning the election and also being in office. So I mean, you've seen some things doing on the FDA, but I think also that's a lot more than just the Center for Tobacco Products. I mean, the FDA bungled when the Reagan-Udall Foundation did their meeting in 2023 late. I mean, it was their oversight and regulation of tobacco products, but also it was the baby formula crisis. That was a big point of play. And then earlier this year or last year when we saw the hearings, you had a lot of lawmakers on that. So the FDA's got, you know, and now they want to get into cannabis too. That's freaking great because you're doing such a bang up job regulating the products that you already oversee.
Yeah, they have to have their hands in everything. That's what I think people don't realize is, you know, cannabis people have been fighting for over 200 years. And I think they're happy for a while there. But then like here in California, the taxation is just so ridiculous, and the requirements to
issue with Illinois.
Just to run the place is ridiculous. I mean, it's just there's the only
they say 90% of your market is still like 90% of the consumed market, like the weed that people are vaping or smoking in California is still from the black market.
It's from the black market.
That the state did not actually capture any of the benefits of legalizing it. Illinois has the same problem too. Their taxes weren't as bad as yours were, but they're still really high. I mean, I saw it I lived in Illinois. I kind of saw, you actually saw a little bit of a price increase on the black market products or whatnot, but they were still significantly cheaper than what you were buying from the dispensaries.
Yeah, I watched video of some of the premier growers that were way up north burning product. They just said, we'd rather burn it than sell it at that price. And it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, that's great. It comes down to a lot of lawmakers, again, not really understanding it. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, after doing this for so long now, I mean, there's some lawmakers who do know this. There's some lawmakers who have worked with us, some of the people at the state associations have been so good at, educating their state lawmakers. And there's been some good people with the federal level, too. I can think of like Florida's guy and stuff, where these people kind of understand. I mean, I think that there's still more work to be played at the federal level. I'd like to see us working more with Democrats, quite honestly, especially when these are the people who are smoking. These are your constituents. These are people you sit here and care that you claim about. Let's make sure that they have more options than large tobacco companies, one, getting them hooked on cigarettes and also being their saviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the questions I have for you is, let's just say everything works out for us in 6 months and the FDA opens it up and we're allowed to have flavors back. What states do you feel are going to fight that issue and try to keep what they have right now as far as bans? Do you think California is one of those states that's just going to say, you know what? Yeah, I can see her. I didn't even have to finish my sentence. I'm looking at you.
The only states that I could see that would actually reverse their bans might be New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. Massachusetts and California are going to definitely keep it. They got way too many ties to all the groups but there's also going to be other states that are going to go against it. Or, Minnesota, Connecticut, which has been trying for years, Hawaii. I mean, even though, here's a fun fact about Hawaii. And also Utah's the same way too. In 2023, there were more adults vaping than smoking. Yeah. I can't wait. Hawaii's got about 8 freaking bills up. I can't wait to actually do testimony this year and there, because I'm gonna piss off all of the Oregon organizations and be like, wow, and look at this, and I'm gonna actually do the numbers really well and everything. They're gonna get so mad at me, but you do actually have
That's insane. I mean, too. I mean, those states that are going to fight back, what kind of authority will the federal government have to force them? I mean, other than taxing them or taking federal funding away from them in some sort to get them to apply?
They're not going to do that. They're not
going to do that, right? I mean, there's not.
No, I think it's the same way. I mean, I think it's going to be treated the way that cannabis is kind of being treated. Yeah.
Should I move?
I mean, really, didn't the wildfires should tell you that or anything? I mean, your property taxes are about to go way up, man.
Not just property taxes. I'm
scared. Your water
bill
is going to go up a lot and everything. I can't even imagine the amount of economic damage that is going to go to the California taxpayer over those fires.
I'm scared just to see how much my insurance goes up in April for my homeowners insurance. That's the one that I'm thinking to myself, you're talking what they already said, somewhere in the $30-50 billion lost in those fires, somewhere right around there.
So even probably more. Oh God, you're probably looking at 100 billion. And also had a lot of people, I was reading about that too, because you guys already had a problem with the insurance companies because you live in a desert with a lot of freaking problems. I mean, we're both in Florida. I haven't looked at really my bill yet because I don't have to pay it till next month. But I do think I probably do pay more for insurance than I do for property taxes.
What's
in Florida? It's hurricanes. I mean, or snowstorms.
Snowstorms. I have snow damage. You're applying to your insurance. I have snow damage. Where are you at? Florida.
Exactly. A tree just went through my window, my roof. Apparently, some places' roof did cave in down here because of all the snow piles.
someone that maybe didn't take care of their roof, that could be bad. All of a sudden you get snow in.
And they're not peaked like up north are.
That's correct.
So it holds more.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to go check out my house, once all the snow actually goes away.
Yeah.
Crap.
It's an exciting time. I remember getting my keys for the first time and opening that door for the first time. Yeah. And it's just like it takes you a few minutes. You kind of walk around and you look around and you're like, this is fucking mine. This is mine, and it's a great feeling.
I do that in my backyard. Well, I've been spending 6 months looking at places, and I'm probably about 30 minutes away from the beach. So I was first looking at beach condos and everything, and the HOA was kind of pricing me out on those ones. And then I found this one place, and kind of country-ish. And I mean, driving to it was on a private lane. It felt like you were driving to Deliverance, and everything. It was 2 acres of land. It was like this cabin. But the cabin was going to take about $100,000 of work, to just live there. But I loved it. I was just like, well, if I can't live by the beach, I want land. And I found out in Florida that you can shoot guns on your property as long as it's a little bit over 1 acre and then there's no buildings on it. So I have a little bit over 1 acre, but my house is on it. So technically I cannot really shoot. It'd be a misdemeanor actually if I get in trouble for it. So I think mine's 1 acre of land. That's why I like the one place, the Deliverance place, but I'm going to get a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
I got the nice deck and everything. Just stand up there and just be like, whoop. Put some people's faces, just print off faces.
The bow and arrow, the silent killer.
I'll be really good at that one. My brother's like, get a crossbow, and I was like, no, I want to build up my arms a little bit.
It's an amazing feeling, and then it hits you. You're like, holy shit, I got to put furniture in here. And you start looking around. Because you're going from a 1-bedroom. I went from a 1-bedroom apartment with a couch, nice, a guy's.
I went through a 1-room. Okay. I was living with my parents, like a 30 something year old millennial loser living with, in her mom and dad's basement. I mean, I joke about that. I was just very fortunate. I had a place to go. So, and I knew I was going to buy something. So it was like, I didn't buy anything for 2 years while I was down here. So I still got to get some things like a washer and dryer. I've just spent enough money over the past 2 months. It's
still an amazing feeling. I remember that day like it was yesterday. And then the kids ran in and ruined it. They're like, started touching shit and breaking stuff. Then you're like, fuck, I'm a homeowner, man. I gotta fix that sink. I gotta fix that dish. Asking my son why he put his stuffed animals in the dishwasher and turned it on and screwed up the dishwasher. All these things that are just like, you're like, okay, oh, daddy, I saw it on YouTube. I don't give a shit what you saw on YouTube, man. Do not copy anything you see on YouTube.
Not in my house. Do it in your friends' houses and make their moms steal
right.
Do it at your grandmother's house. Go to your grandmother's house. Do it over there. Well, Lindsey, it was good having you back. Tell a friend.
Yes.
Guess who's back? I'm sure I'll be back too. I mean, I'm sure we'll see stuff at, I'll have clips for you, at the state levels because, God.
What we need you back is we need to have another trivia night and have you back on. So, now that we have even numbers with the ladies and the men, and the ladies have just been dominating when it comes to trivia on the show for some reason. So I don't know what's wrong with this guy.
Because we only have one brain and we use it.
You guys use more than 10% of your brain. See, that's the difference. Us guys, we're at 5%. You start talking food and beer and stuff, then it goes up to maybe 9.5. So we dictate where our brain works. But we'll have you back on, and we'll have. I'm trying to I have 100 questions ready to go, but I can never seem to find the time to get everybody together to do a trivia show. And I think we need it. You know, we're kind of in limbo. Do you feel like we're kind of in that limbo stage right now where we kind of don't know where things are going and or how they're going to benefit?
I do not feel in limbo, but also my main job is,
tobacco
and vaping. So it's just busy. It's busy. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing like 14-hour days during the week. And I'm also dealing with international stuff. But the one thing we didn't get to is like, dude, the WHO, Donald Trump getting us out of that one. That's fantastic. And I know we're not really affected by it, but I just had to do a thing earlier today and talking about the FCTC. And so the United States might not be a party of the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, which is the WHO's like first of its kind health treaty. It's going to have its 20th anniversary next month. But if you look at our policies, and our regulations that we put, especially towards tobacco harm reduction products, we are following, what Bloomberg and the like groups are pushing. So, and yes, and I have to give the shout out for that, especially international people who are working on this one. Reach out to me. We are planning Good Cop 2.0. Definitely still looking for some experts and, advice on experts and stuff you want to be seeing.
Yeah, good. Everybody who isn't following Lindsey should be following Lindsey.
Absolutely.
I think I got all your links, Facebook as well. I didn't know if you want me to put Facebook, but I know
Facebook's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not very public on Facebook though. I share more of my personal life on Facebook.
Yeah. Lindsey loves music. Everybody, Lindsey loves music.
I do all types of music. That's my favorite thing about Facebook right now. That stuff you can do on your on your messenger. It's like MySpace again. This is how I'm feeling today. You're listening to my music. Yes.
Yeah, I had that feeling too. I was like, whoa, this kind of brings back MySpace days.
I was just like, hell yes. It's really hard not to be like, oh, here's my mood changing. I'm gonna go flip a different song within only 1 hour of this playing. But I love it.
It's nice. All right, Lindsey, have a great rest of your week. Stay warm. Do you have a fireplace? How you're running the heater?
I'm running the heater, but there is a fireplace that the previous owners left, like one of these, electric ones that, outside one. It's a huge size. It's probably about like 3.5 feet tall. It's pretty big. The only problem is my TV's above it. So I'm a little bit worried about like the heat and everything going to it. So I haven't really messed around with it yet.
Yeah. You're lucky to have one. Here in California, they're kind of banning them.
Really?
Yeah. Fireplace or you have to check every morning. You have to check if it's a non-burn day. If it's a non-burn day in your city, you can't start your fireplace, even though you're freezing cold and you may not have a working heater. Yeah. If it's a non-burn day, you cannot burn a fire. If you have one of those asshole neighbors that is an environmentalist, who sees smoke coming out of your chimney, they will call the city, and then the city will come out and give you a fine. Wow. California.
It's time to move. Time to move.
If my daughter's out there, listen, these two women are telling you to move with your dad to North or South Carolina. I don't care which one, either one.
Cheaper taxes. Hey, come to Florida. We don't even pay income taxes down here. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, everybody. Hey, everybody in chat. Thank you for joining us today. Peggy, Microwave Oven. I saw you in there. I forgot to say hello to you, Peggy, and Don, Loco, everybody else. Thank you for joining us. We'll see everybody next Wednesday. Bye, Michelle. Bye, Lindsey.
Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.